Okay, so welcome to the follow-up to the video I posted I think a few weeks ago, where I showed you the guest room and how it was not even really starting to shape up at that point. I think it was just bags of stuff on the floor. I think all of these were just piled up here, obviously without the units, just like that, kind of mainly on the floor. So I have two units set up in the spare bedroom, and so I thought I'd show you them and kind of go through the way I've set them up, things like that. Seems like people are kind of interested. I mean, if you found the video where I was just showing the random stacks and bags on the floor of Blu-rays interesting, then maybe this might be fairly interesting as well. I don't know. Alright, so we're all crazy. It's fine. Now, where do I even start? Where do I begin? Yeah, I really don't know actually. I feel like the thing with this setup here, and finally bringing together all my Blu-rays from Norway and the UK, and joining them all together, having everything in the same place at once for the first time ever. I still don't feel like I'm going to fully organize all of this, because we're not going to be here forever, you know. We want to get a house at some point, so I feel like when we've kind of fully committed to a place that we know we're going to stay at kind of permanently, that's when I'll start to really kind of put the finishing touches on everything. So this is just kind of to have a nice space for my collection for the time being, however long we're here, you know. The first thing, I guess, before we even get to the Blu-rays, is I've got these two shelving units. Went with white instead of the traditional black I've used before. I think the issue was that this one here on the left, this unit is in front of a plug down on the floor, a plug socket, which don't really need a plug socket for this room. So I put it there so I could have two. It's kind of exciting to have two, because I've always had just one shelving unit, so to have two side by side was kind of fun and exciting for me. But because that plug socket is behind this unit here, it's a certain distance away from the wall, whereas this one doesn't have the plug socket. So what happened was I kind of put it in the same spot, but it was leaning towards the wall, so instead of it lining up, it was just like that, and it looked awful. So actually my quick fix is to put some styrofoam, junk mail, and a piece of bubble wrap to kind of, you know, just make it a bit more level. So that's a completely random bit of trivia I probably didn't even need to go into. Let's just get to the Blu-ray, shall we? So we'll start with the good stuff. So this one here is kind of I told Connie this is the boring shelf. If you ever come in here, this is like all the stuff you're probably not that interested in. Whereas for collectors, it's probably the most prestigious unit of the shelves in the room. So at the top we have the Bond 50 set, which I think is currently empty, actually. I have all the discs still in a wallet somewhere, but it's nice to have that on display. It's a really cool set. Up here, of course, we have The Last Jedi, what do they call these things? The big sleeve edition. Now, once I've opened this, it's now all warped because of the art card, so it really is awful. I'd quite like to get this framed, so then the kind of warping of the cardboard won't look as bad. So yeah, anyway, that's just the whole other issue. But now we'll look at these. The Criterion Collection at the top. So when I say to Connie the boring shelf, so this is like a lot of, you know, classic films, you know, foreign films, world cinema, and you know, kind of the boutique labels, so to speak. So at the top we have my Criterion Collection, which is really nice to see in its full form for the first time. I have, I believe, 65 Criterion titles, and that's, you know, like say the Zatoichi set, I would count as one Criterion, even though there's like 25 movies in there. But this I've organized chronologically for the most part. So we start from the 20s with Phantom Carriage, we move through to 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on, and then we get right up to the 90s, and we also go to kind of director sections. So I've got Charlie Chaplin, Gold Rush, Limelight, Kieslowski, the Three Colors trilogy, and the Double Life of Veronique. We have Richard Linklater, the Before trilogy, and over down to Boyhood. Bergman with Seventh Seal and Finding Alexander. David Lynch here, 3 titles. The Wes Anderson collection I still need to get. The Life Aquatic and Moonrise Kingdom. Then we have the Kurosawas, Rashomon, Seven Samurai, Akira, Hidden Fortress, Yojimbo Sanjuro, High and Low, Kagemusha, and Dreams. I still need Throne of Blood, and desperately hope they release more Kurosawa on Blu-ray soon. Then we have kind of the really nice Warner Brothers kind of classic movies steelbooks, again in chronological order. We have some Plain Archives in chronological order. Arrow Academy stuff, Jacques Rivette collection, Kieslowski Decalogue set. And then we have the Masters of Cinema, which I have, once again, displayed out of order. I used to have them in spine number order because I collected the first 100 spines in the series, but the way I really like it is chronological. For the most part, much like the Criterion Collection, what I've done is we start with 1915 Birth of a Nation, and we go all the way across down 4 shelves to the bottom where I believe we end at 2015 with Sweet Bean. So we have the silent movies here, but then we also break off into director sections. So we go from 1915 to 1929, I think, with Diary of a Lost Girl. Then we go back to like 1921 for the Murnau section, up to 1931. Back again to 1917 for the Buster Keaton films, then back again to the early 20s for Fritz Lang. We have all the Fritz Lang movies up to 1933, then back to 1930 for Blue Angel. So it's that kind of thing where I kind of, if there's a few films from a certain director, I kind of put it in chronologically and then have them all together. So we go to the 30s here, the 40s, Billy Wilder. We have 4 Billy Wilder films there, the late Mizoguchi set. Across to the 50s. The 60s, we've got some Fellini there. There's the Shohei Imamura films. Across down to the late 50s, the early 60s. We have the King Hu films there with Legend of Mountain, Touch of Zen, Dragon Inn. And so on, and so on, and so on. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously. We have the box sets there. And then down to the bottom we have some Kiyoshi Kurosawa. And that's the Masters of Cinema collection. I currently have, I believe, 159. So I don't have the first 150 spines complete. But yeah, I'm not really looking to continue that as much as I was doing before. But I'm certainly glad to see all of them together in the same place. Down at the bottom we have some Harryhausen, the 3 Indicator box sets. And then we have Clash of the Titans to go along with the Harryhausen movies. Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, Herzog collection, the Eric Romer box set. And then we go over to the mainstream shelf. As much as I love classic films and world cinema, I do love my mainstream blockbuster Hollywood productions. So we have, in loose kind of alphabetical order here, we have the Alien franchise. Still need to get Covenant. We've got Prometheus there. Back to the Future, of course. Blade Runner, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones. I have the 2-disc version of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull to have the extra bonus features. Got the Hobbit trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Planet of the Apes movies. Yeah, we got Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and White. Love it when they just don't put fucking anything on the spine. But the 4 best Planet of the Apes movies. Then we have the Star Wars section. So we got the Clone Wars series, the Rebels series, the complete incomplete saga box set, Rogue One, original trilogy steelbook, Force Awakens editions, The Last Jedi. All DVDs of the first 6 episodes. A couple of those DVDs are signed by some of the cast members. We have The Empire Strikes Back limited edition. In fact, I can just show you actually in case no one has seen it before. My episode 4 is signed by Kenny Baker. So you can see that there. And my episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, is signed by Dave Prowse, Darth Vader, and also Jeremy Bulloch, Boba Fett. Really wish I'd got them to sign a poster instead, but oh well. My head wasn't really thinking about that at the time. Then we have the holiday special, of course, and then the Ewok movies, Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor. Down here we have the complete Twin Peaks, My Pride and Joy. We have the Batman 66 series, and then from here we have loads of Batman stuff. The Dark Knight trilogy, Batman v Superman, a load of animated Batman movies, Superman collection, Man of Steel, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Logan. Then just a random assortment of just some of my favourite films that they're just there to kind of finish off this shelf. I'd say that this unit is a lot more in order and organised than this one. So we just got, again, some of my favourite films. You can read them for yourself. And then down here we have the Godfather box set, the Hannibal Lecter series, Nightmare on Elm Street series. That's also signed by Robert Englund. RoboCop trilogy, the Rocky movies, and Creed. And then we have some directors sections again. We have Mel Brooks, and these are in alphabetical order, I guess. Tim Burton collection. I have John Carpenter's complete filmography here from Dark Star all the way up to The Ward. So that's really cool. I'm glad to have all of those, and these will comprise a future hopeful John Carpenter 24-hour movie marathon. I just need to find the time and the means in which to do it. Charlie Chaplin here, we got some of his short films and The Woman of Paris. Joe Dante, we have Gremlins, Gremlins 2, Inner Space, and The Burbs, which you can barely see the title on the spine. Down here we have the Buster Keaton collection. I guess I could have put the massive cinema box sets down there, but I decided to kind of keep them separate. And that has all of his silent feature films. We have some Koreeda, the Family Values box set, David Lynch, the Marx Brothers, Quentin Tarantino steelbooks. That's incomplete because I got some of those steelbooks elsewhere. My Agnes Varda collection, and then the Edgar Wright collection. And I put Paul in there for good measure for Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. The Paul Newman, Hustler and The Color of Money movies. Some random steelbooks at the end there, and Breathless, which goes really nicely with the Terminator movies. Then we move down to the anime shelf, another kind of pride and joy of the collection. Some various limited editions from Anime Limited, Your Name. I guess here's kind of the Makoto Shinkai section. Then we have the Hayao Miyazaki complete filmography from Castle of Cagliostro up to The Wind Rises. One of my all-time favourite filmmakers, all of his films there, and then the rest of the Studio Ghibli collection. I think I have a few more to add to that. And then some random things, Ghost in the Shell, and some steelbooks. Down here we have the Sony Collector's Edition series, the UK version from Spine number 1 to Spine number 20, and some of the Scandinavian releases. Definitely fell behind on those, and I'm not really interested in continuing collecting them. And at the bottom we just have a completely random assortment of the premium collection, of which I picked up quite a few over my birthday. And then the Raid movies at the end, which go really nicely with the premium collection. Okay, so there's the two units there. Quite happy with how they look and have turned out and stuff. There's the door. On this side of the room there's just so much junk. So I've managed to at least clear some floor space, and you can actually walk around in the room a bit now, which is nice. But I also have put up another little cabinet, and again, a lot of junk around the sides and things like that. We've got 4 piles here. This is just completely random films, same with the second stack. But the 2 stacks in the corner, those are all films in the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die book that I either haven't seen yet or haven't reviewed yet for the Epic Film Challenge 2. So they're there for a very specific reason, so they're easily accessible. And I think that's where some of my Tarantino steelbooks are, actually. And then over in this corner we just have random stuff, just bits and pieces that aren't going to go on a shelf. Random discs, games, DVDs, and some other box sets like the Watchmen set, which is great, but if you display it like the Bond set, it has like a front flap that just kind of, sorry, I couldn't see where my hand was. It has like a front flap here that just like holds open, and then the book falls out, so it's kind of, I hate it when you have sets that look really nice like that, but in theory, not in theory, in theory they look great on the shelf, but when you actually put it into practice and you stand them up, they just practically don't work, and the case just opens itself. So yeah, I am such a fucking idiot that I put this thing together wrong, and so we got the we got the unfinished edge, and I'd already hammered in the back casing. So yeah, this is fucked, but I'm gonna have to try and paint that at some point. These are mostly completely random as well, so that's where I'm gonna need more units and have a lot more time to organize them and things like that. Sorry, I'm getting kind of suppressed burps because I'm drinking some Caribbean cola, so apologies for the really out of breathness of my narration here. Alright, so we have the Arrow Video Collection, some of the box sets. No order whatsoever, just random Arrow Video titles. Behind them we have in stacks, much like down there on the floor. There's about 50 plus behind this row, and the same here, there's another 50 behind there, so just absolutely just shoved in there. No rhyme or reason. You can have a look if you want to just see individual titles. And then down here another stack, and that is doubled as well. So these are just, yeah, it's kind of it's a neat mess, I think. And then we just have books, whether it's novels or just kind of, you know, the making of the original Star Wars trilogy, massive Simpsons guide, and then some Hayao Miyazaki stuff, and the Bruce Lee book at the end there. So, oh, the sun went down a bit. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed. No, actually, no, wait. I'm gonna have to show you some of the mess. And there's more. Yes, there's loads of steelbooks. Ignore that stuff on the top, but there is probably about 120 steelbooks there. This is the entire MCU. I just don't have anywhere else to put them. So it's just one of those things where it's like, well, where do they go? I just don't know. So my collection's a little bit bigger than I thought it was, but by other people's standards, not that big either. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Got nothing else more to say. I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.